Okay, good evening. Welcome to the City of Groton Mayor and Council meeting for Monday, August 1st, 2022. City Clerk, please call the roll.
Thank you, President or Mayor Keith Hedrick, Deputy Mayor Depot, Councilor Carter, Councilor Norris, Councilor Piazza, Councilor Sheffield, and Councilor McCabe, who just arrived. Excused, Director Uhas, and I did believe I say Councilor McCabe. Just saw you. Thank you.
Okay, please stand, salute the flag. Pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Recognition, awards, and memorials. Anyone from the council? Just want to let you know that on Friday, we had a ceremony here where we had the celebration of 201st anniversary of the liberation of Peru, and a ceremonial flag raising, and it was a very enjoyable time. It was a great event, so I wanted to bring that up. Next section is receipt of citizens' petitions comments. Receipt of citizen petitions is the portion of the council meeting where the council welcomes comments from citizens. To address the council, please sign a sheet of paper at the table in the front of the meeting room. When you're recognized, please approach the podium. Clearly state your name and address. Each presentation should be limited to 5 minutes or less, and citizens should, if possible, submit emailed or written comments. Presentations should be related to matters pertinent to the City of Groton. City councilors will only ask questions in order to clarify the speaker's presentation and can respond during this response to citizens petitions portion of the meeting. Clerk, do we have anyone signed up?
I do not know.
Please turn the microphone on and speak into the microphone.
Green is go. Mike Boucher, 16 Hillside Avenue, Groton, Connecticut. I'm here for some citizens of the Five Corners area. I'd like to know, and they'd like to know, if they could get a copy of the amended proposals for consideration under planning and zoning. There was a discussion at the last meeting, July 19th, on proposed zoning changes for the Five Corners area, and they'd like to keep ahead of that and be involved as soon as possible, since you're proposing some pretty dramatic changes. I'd also like to express my disappointment that Andre was refused a reappointment. Yeah, very disappointed. There's no need for that. This is still a democracy. It appears that you're just loading the commission to push projects you want, and I strongly disapprove of that. And I'm sure the public's going to have their say when they see where this goes. Lastly, Brantford Manor. I'm getting involved in that. It's an easy group of people to pick on. They don't really have a voice. So there's a couple of things we touched on last time, Keith. I'd like to go back to see why there were certificates of completion issued during the renovation project that ended in late 2018. And that happened while people were complaining about mold issues before, during, and after those certificates were issued. Clearly, in the one note from the City of Groton Planning and Zoning official, mold is a safety issue, and it is a concern, and he seemed to be saying that it's breaking the zoning regulations concerning rental and housing codes. So I don't know why we're here at this point now with people suffering with mold still and other issues. And lastly, this isn't your fault, but I don't know what we can do as a city to ensure that residents that are forced to move from their apartments at Brantford Manor can avoid being sent to a hotel. It seems really unjust for some of the families I've talked to, that you have small children, you're allowed 2 rooms, 2 beds, and you're trying to support your family with a microwave oven. I think it was reported at the last tenant meeting that there were 25 vacant apartments, so I don't know what the city can do to push the manager of Branford Manor to start rehabbing those apartments and making them available to displaced residents, especially their children. The school year's coming back, it's really not right to put them in a hotel. And I actually think it prevents people from talking and seeking help when this happens, because basically you're punishing the family when that happens. I'm afraid some of them would just continue to suffer with really unlivable conditions. Thank you all for your time. And I did put your name forward because I was impressed by the little talk you gave in 2017 about Branford Manor. And I think you would be an excellent go-between. I think they need a good representative on the council. And I know you're busy, but I hope you throw your hat into the ring. I really like what you do. Thank you. They would appreciate it because residents all spoke highly of you, so they know where you're coming from. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other citizens for citizens petitions? Please sign the sheet.
Good evening. Ian Thomas, 24 Jefferson Drive, and I am here, I do share Mr. Boucher's disappointment, seeing that Andre Baumgartner is not on the list of reappointments. I think he's done a great job. He's a long time served on the planning and zoning, and he represents a key constituency. And he's very diligent in his work when it comes to that. And so don't know what can be done about that, but I would encourage any and all action in that regard to try to, maybe reconsider that. In regards to Brantford Manor, I also would echo a lot of Mr. Boucher's concerns. I am still waiting to see the quarterly construction reports from the 2017 to 2018 period. I've put in a request. The building department does not have those particular reports. And the fire department doesn't know much about that either. So I'm not sure who's in charge of collecting the required reporting that comes with the tax abatement deal. But I would like some cooperation from this council and from the mayor on that, getting that information together so we can kind of get a sense of the history. Also, I would like to know how we're progressing on the idea of a comprehensive rehabilitation plan there. A lot of the tenants and basically like the circumstantial evidence around the whole situation seems to indicate that the best way to move forward is to have a comprehensive survey and a comprehensive remediation plan, meaning, L-plex by L-plex, every single unit. The way the mold works, the way the other concerns are there, they're structural. They're inherent to the buildings, and you can't just isolate one unit out of, 6 or 7 that's in an L-plex, because the issues are permeating through the walls, through the basements, through the ductwork. So, and again, I think this also help with the hotel issue, is if you had a comprehensive plan, you get 1 or 2 L-plexes completely cleared out, rehabilitated, you can rotate tenants through there so that instead of being relocated to a hotel, they can be relocated to an apartment that has a similar footprint than the one they just vacated, so that, the disruption is minimized. And there's been enough disruption down there, so I would implore you all to, lean in heavy with all the powers of your municipality that you have, especially in regards to the tax abatement deal, to try to compel a comprehensive assessment and repair plan from Related Affordable. So that's about it. So I'd like to, look forward to getting those updates, and we'd love to hear more history about the reconstruction. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone else that wants to speak?
I'll stand just because it's easier for me when I speak. So I'm just going to do what makes me feel comfortable. My name is Portia Bordelon. For full disclosure, a Groton Town Councilor. I live at 24 Jefferson Drive in the city of Groton. I'm here tonight. I guess I echo a lot of the concerns I've already heard. I'm here in solidarity with the Brantford Manor tenants. As a former Branford Manor tenant that lived there for a very short time, these concerns are not concerns that were not there even 20-something years ago. At these meetings and gatherings that the Brantford Manor community has been having, I did miss the last one, but usually I'm there just every Sunday that they have it. I'm probably on the phone at least 5 times a week speaking to residents about concerns. The concern is some folks feel like their concerns are being addressed, but when you look at the mold, as it was stated, it permeates all the way through the building. So it's great that you're helping that one resident and moving them back in, but their neighbors who maybe don't speak English or don't even understand what's going on, or maybe they're afraid to speak up for whatever maybe they have a record of some kind, or they're behind in rent. Those are the people that we're not even getting into to see the units. I'm hoping as a city council that we put the pressure on this company to say that we want to get into every unit. Every unit matters, and every tenant deserves a safe and healthy place to live. School is starting back up. The concerns of the health and welfare and well-being of these children are at my top priority, and it should be, as these children reside in the city of Groton. We have money from ARPA that we're given. Maybe we can start to help use some of that to help these folks that are being kind of left in the dark, literally, with the mold issues. School is coming. There needs to be a collaboration to make sure students have transportation. I know of several mothers that live in hotels that do not have cars and do not have cooking surfaces. I've been speaking at every meeting saying that anyone that's removed from an apartment building, they need a cooking surface. Why? They're on fixed incomes. They have limited number of funds. They buy their food for the week or the month to make it stretch. That's cookable food. They're not able to eat microwavable things and fast food, so we need to support them from a holistic approach. Also, I encourage that we look at a way that we, as a community, are doing more in the city here, as well as the town. I've been asking on emails to make sure it's part of my agenda item. I'm one councilor, it hasn't moved. Maybe you can move it here. I encourage this council to put it as an agenda item every week until the problem is fixed. You guys can do that, and that would show Branford Manor residents that it means a lot to them and that this town cares, and it resides on this side. Second, I share the concerns about Andre Bumgardner, who served 5 years on planning and zoning. What happened? Where's his name? He represents a small base of millennials that are coming up that live in the city of Groton, that choose to raise their family here. He's a minority Latino male who is representative of a population that's under 30. Is everyone else on the P&Z represent that body? These are the people that are going to be here running in this town long after I'm gone, and their voice should be part of what they see as urban sprawl, what they see as things that they want to see their town grow. And I just find it a little frustrating to see someone in that capacity that we have right there that has served is no longer on there. With that, I hope that this town council looks at the Complete Streets project from the last town council meeting where it was presented, and looks at ways that we can improve the health and welfare and well-being of our community to have walkable streets, making sure sidewalks and bike paths and all the ABA compliance are there. As we speak, at the end of my road, I moved from Shanticosset Parkway about 2 years ago, and where I am now, when you come into my road, there's a button, and there's no sidewalk. There's no crosswalk. There's a lot of discrepancies in the city where we could implement that Complete Streets project and really kind of help support our community. Look at the accidents that happened down at EB. If we had Complete Streets, maybe we could kind of save that. Every morning when I drive into work, I see all the sub-base employees using that new bike lane that's along Route 1. It's a beautiful asset. These are the things that we should be looking at. And this is why it's important to have young, youthful minds on our planning, our zoning, and making decisions in our town, because they see things that maybe someone at 42 does not see. And it's important to see, and we should be looking for that. Having a walkable community allows for people who live in neighborhoods to be able to get out and exercise. It improves social and emotional support and health and well-being. It allows for biking. It cuts down on emissions in our town and ensures safety of all of our children. Allowing kids and residents to be able to leave their road and just be able to walk and stay on a sidewalk or a bike lane is so important. Thomas Road was a small widening that happened, but it made a big imprint. But some more could be done. When I leave my house and I head towards the airport road, there's no sidewalk. It starts and then it stops.
Your time is up.
I thank you all for all your time, and I appreciate your.
Is there anyone else that, for citizens petitions that wish to speak? Okay, we will move on. Response to citizens petitions. Comments? Councilor Carter had his hand up. Councilor Carter?
I would like to speak on the Andre situation. I respect Andre. I think he's done a good job in the past, and I'm just speaking for myself. I don't, maybe some of the council. When it comes to reappointments, it's generally brought to us. So I don't think with his situation, at least on my behalf, it was not to not reappoint Andre. It was more of, it wasn't presented to myself to reappoint Andre. I also think it would have been good for Councilor Baumgartner to speak on his behalf if there was an issue as far as reappointment. It would have been good for him to come up and speak, and we wouldn't be where we're at now. That's just my take on it. I personally want to say I would have reappointed him if I would have saw his name presented personally. That's it.
Deputy Mayor Depot?
Thank you, Mayor. Okay, a few things. Well, actually, I have a question for you, if that's okay. I know that for certain things, like building projects, or there are certain times where you have to notify neighbors of things. Is a zoning change one of those things that triggers notifying the neighbors? So if we're doing a zoning change around Five Corners, is there, you know, how sometimes there's like within 200 yards of this, you have to notify everyone or anything like that?
I don't know, we'll have to ask Leslie.
So what those residents at the Five Corners should do is watch the calendar for P and Z meetings, because the agenda's posted online, correct? So they would be able to see the agenda and see if the Five Corners issue is on the agenda for that month's meeting. Okay. Other thing on Brantford Manor. I've also been attending the meetings, and I think the idea has been floated since, I think, the first meeting, where someone commented if we could have people move into, you know, clean one group of units and use that as like a swing space for residents. It's been presented to related management by, I think, every single one of us that's been involved, including multiple times. I know, actually, I had this discussion with Senator Summers, was at the last meeting, and she has recommended it to related. Unfortunately, obviously, we can kind of push them to follow the rules or follow up on complaints, or, you know, obviously abide by the laws in place. But there's no mechanism for us to tell them exactly how to do that. So I wish legally we could say, hey, we have a bunch of experts and this is the best way to do it, because a ton of people have said the same thing, that using the empty units would be a sensible way to move people around, and then they're essentially still in the same location for school, transportation, and all of that. It is, in my opinion, the most sensible solution. I don't think there's any way legally, I think we've discussed it, there's no way legally for us to make them do that. I know that Senator Summers has been in contact with HUD, and she was gonna also recommend that, that HUD push for them to do that. So we are kind of pushing for that solution from every angle. And again, I agree that it's the smartest way to do it. It's just unfortunate that's not the way they see it, but, the other thing, I did, recently, make contact with someone from, the Complete Streets program, and there's a group, bike Groton or Bike Stonington. One of them contacted me also, and I have been seen a couple emails. I haven't been to a meeting yet, but I am also interested in making the city more walkable and bikeable, and trying to just make sure when we do repairs or redo things that we're keeping that in mind. So I do agree that's an important issue to follow up on, and I have been paying attention to that and trying to get more involved with people who I know who are like bike enthusiasts, or when I see someone who has an e-bike, I ask them about it and all that kind of stuff. So agree. I also wanted to respond to the crosswalk button at the end of your neighborhood. I agree as well, and we've talked about this in the past. There should be, for one, there's a giant sign that says to use the crosswalk and to not hit people in the crosswalk, but there's no crosswalk. So it seems very silly. I believe that was the state that put that in, and it just has never been taken care of. I know that we've discussed it in the past. I did actually run into Senator Summers at an event over the weekend, and I had mentioned to her before that I drew her a little diagram of that whole corner, because if she can help us coordinate with the state to find some resolution, even if it means us painting a crosswalk, because I do think there should be a crosswalk there. A lot of people walk from the neighborhood above down that way. And you're gonna have more people walking from West Street, where the old Colonel Ledyard, once they build those apartments up, you're gonna have people walking down Pequannock Road all the way down that road too. So I do think that's important. It's another thing I am following up on and keeping track of, because I think pedestrian safety is really important. We've seen, obviously, accidents down by EB, and we always want to try to prevent that. So those are important issues, and I have been trying to keep track of them myself and follow up and give my 2 cents when it's asked for. And I think that is it.
Okay. Councilor Piazza?
Thank you, Mayor. First, I want to thank all three of you coming to speak. I appreciate your time and your efforts and your passion for the things you spoke on. For Mr. Boucher, I'd like to say in reference to Andre, I would have to say personally myself, is that I did review the email he sent out, but I have to say, just for myself, I was unaware of what positions are open and so forth, and that's on me. When I saw it, I didn't realize that I was not aware that he was not going to be reappointed. In reference to renovations in reference to Brantford Manor, so I really appreciate everybody that's getting involved with the community. So I do know a few people that live at Brantford Manor, and I have been talking to them. And in reference to especially Mr. Thomas, I'd like to thank you for especially being concerned about the children going into the school year. We're looking at developmentally for them, socially for them, let alone everything that, going to new grade, maybe a new school, so it is something to look at. I will say, though, I know a couple people who were put in a hotel, and they have moved back in, and they have mold. They did mention about the pipes were leaking, those were repaired, but they still have mold, and some people have said that they've had to throw some of their things away, so forth and so on. So I guess I need to beef up on more. I'm reading the emails that are going out, but to understand if we have children who are having breathing issues, and it's compounded by this, maybe not caused by it, but compounded by it, is deeply concerning for me, for being a nurse for over 30-something years. So I didn't understand the reasoning why these families were brought back into their places. And their concern wasn't so much they were living in a hotel, their concern was coming back into places where all their personal stuff, their items, were basically affected by the mold, and they had to get rid of that. So I requested for them to write me. They said they would. They have been taking pictures. So in that, I appreciate Gwen going to the meetings and all you being involved, and I'm trying to be involved. I know at one time it was spoke, and if somebody can correct me or update me, I know they were talking about a group in Brantford Manor that was going to form an association, and I strongly had said, because she was really speaking up, to, if there was, she said there was other people involved, I said maybe you could be a part of it, and I know, Rashad, they were saying that you'd be a great representative. I would like to formally say that I'd be more than happy to be on that committee with them, to be a liaison with them. Because it is concerning for me, I guess, more as a nurse, and that I work with these people, and also that I bus these students. And it is concerning, because we're always concerned about their health on the bus. Why wouldn't we be concerned about their health in their homes and so forth? I know it's a huge, huge thing. I know this has been happening for a very, very, very long time as far as the mold. There's one more thing I want to say. What was it? I think I've forgotten it. I wrote it down. I don't have it. I didn't write it down, so I apologize. But I do appreciate you all coming and taking your time and really being passionate about it. Oh, I know what I was going to say. It was in reference to the crosswalk. So since it's been brought up, as a bus driver, I've seen, and we get to communicate to one another on our radios, where accidents are so we can avoid them, or how we're going to get around them, so forth and so on. There has been quite a few accidents at the intersection. And I have drove up in your neighborhood. And so when somebody brought it up, I was like, wow, look at that, there is that sign. And yes, and somebody was standing there. And I think my concern is, especially as far as being a bus driver and coming down that road, coming up the road, coming down, coming out of that neighborhood, that what happens too, I think what is, donates to that or increases it, is that I see frequently pedestrians coming down, either from EB, but also I want to look at students, because some of our late buses drop off, and usually we drop outside the neighborhood. We don't go in like we would usually do a home-to-school bus. So therefore, then you have students being dropped off outside that neighborhood. And so what if they decide to cross? So it's always a safety issue that we're looking at. Are they crossing this way? Are they crossing that way? They're going to cross the street. We're looking at the cars. And now with the construction there, that's been like, I think they're doing a great job trying to direct traffic as much as possible, but I did see somebody, while I was in my bus, fly through and go on the wrong side of the cone. So I'm thinking to myself, Lord. So, and thankfully, the flaggers were right on top of it. So there, we do have a concern there, and so whatever we can do immediately, I think what you had stated, Gwen, to paint some type of crosswalk so people at least know, because sometimes they cross diagonally, and traffic, they're zooming, and they really want to get where they want to get going, but then you have pedestrians who are hesitant. How are they going to cross, where they're going to cross, and they're doing the same things as the drivers. I need to get where I want to go as fast as I possibly can. So it is a high-risk area that we definitely should be looking at. Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay.
Can I add something?
Deputy Mayor Depot.
I was going to add this during communications and reports, but since Councilor Piazza mentioned it, there is, excuse me, Brantford Manor is forming a tenants union. If you are a Brantford resident, they have a group on Facebook you can join, Brantford Manor Community. And you can join there and message the admin of that group, and they'll get you connected in with the tenants union. I think you have to answer some questions like that you live in Brantford to be in the group or something like that. But they are trying to get one representative from every building. So if you haven't talked to any of your neighbors about the tenants union, maybe you can be that neighbor, because they really need some broad representation from like area wide in the whole community would be really helpful to the tenants union. So that's all.
Anyone else? Councilor McCabe.
I want to echo thanking you all for coming in tonight. Really appreciate hearing what you had to say. My question is actually for you, Mr. Mayor. The fact that Brantford Manor has gotten a tax break for, is there no leverage? Are they breaking any of the sense of agreement that we can use that as a leverage to say, hey,
Well, you have the tax incentive agreement.
Okay.
And then if they're in violation of that, then there's things that we can do. We're currently in the process of gathering information, and we are using leverage locally, and we're using HUD, and we're using Senator Blumenthal to get additional leverage on them in order to accomplish the tasks they need to. My bottom line on this is to get the units remediated so that the families have a safe and healthy place to live and raise their kiddos. That's what I'm trying to get done. So far, we're working on that, and I'll get into that in a minute.
Yeah, and I was also thinking about what you said about people actually having to throw out their things, and I imagine that's a really big hardship. I mean, shouldn't Brantford Manor's insurance be responsible because their buildings are responsible for them having to lose their items? I don't know, it's just a thought to bring up, that maybe their insurance, not, I'm sure not everybody has renter's insurance, I'm quite certain. So, but this is beyond that, this is negligence on the side of Branford Manor. So just.
So, a couple things. Councilor Sheffield.
Could there be a deadline imposed on Branford Manor regarding the remediation? Has any entity pushed for a deadline to have this completed and dealt with as soon as possible?
Well, HUD has reached out and required them to have a deadline for the remediation plan. And they're supposed to have that as of Friday. I have not seen the remediation plan yet, and my contacts in HUD and Senator's office have not reached out to me with that yet. And Zach Simmons has not given that to me. I do expect to get that soon, probably in the next week or so. So that's the remediation plan. The remediation plan will cover a lot of things. I have spoken to them about going L by L. Initially, they're not going to do that. They have a lot of reasons why they don't want to do that, because they're doing the areas that were identified first, the complaints that were brought up and the complaints that were filed by alleged light and by the attorneys and things like that are going to get the attention first. And then they will evaluate how they're going to do the mold remediation. And when they have the mold remediation plan, that will come out and that will tell us how they're going to remediate, how they're going to test, how they're going to get people in and out of the apartments. I've spoken to them on several occasions about if they have units available, using a set of units as basically a rotatable pool to move people there, clean up, and then move people out. We had an issue where someone was moved out of their unit, they went back into their unit, and construction was going on, and they ended up getting stitches as a result of a board with a nail in it. And I reached out to Brantford about, one, they gotta make sure that they're cleaning up, but two, I recognize these are people's apartments, but if it's a construction zone, Brantford should coordinate people going back into their apartments because they know where the hazards are, and therefore they can guide the people so that they don't get injured. John Burt and I did tours of about 10 units, and we took our building and zoning inspector and the town's building and zoning inspector with us, and a report came out of that. We are going to be doing another tour in the first part of August, and we're going to tour 10 units. 5 of those units are going to be picked by Brantford, which to show us the remediation that they've done in those units, and 5 of those units will come from the leadership team that will provide me the units to go inspect so that we can go in and do independent verification of that.
Leadership team.
There's a leadership team of the Brantford Union, Brantford Association.
Good.
So, regarding the certificates, they either have them or they don't. There is a possibility that the certificates were sent to the town and not sent to us, because when we looked for the annual reports were sent to the town, they were not sent to the city. So there's a possibility there. But as part of the FOIA process, we have records down in the building department that you can go through and look, and we'll be more than happy to sit with you and go through those, and you'll either find the information you're looking for or you won't. There's additional annual inspections that the fire marshals do, and that's with the fire marshals over at the fire department. So you'll have to touch base with them, and then they can set it up so that you can look at those. Let's see what else. They've also hired 2 additional companies for remediation and the coordination of this whole effort, and they're in the process of doing that. I'm expecting a weekly report that will go to HUD, and then we will get a copy of that. The town manager and I will both get it, and then it will be disseminated to our councils. Let's see, complete streets. We didn't call it complete streets, and I'm not gonna call it complete streets. But we have already started looking at walkability, bikeability in the city of Groton. And Sierra Patrick and Leslie Crean are working on that. And we have areas that we're looking at for bikeability and walkability. And we all have already looked at our crosswalks, and we routinely work on crosswalks to keep them in good shape, because we do have a lot of people that walk here. A lot of them are walking to Electric Boat and back and forth. The sidewalk down there, that crosswalk and that light fixture belongs to the state. We've been in touch with the state, and the state says that's not on their radar for another couple of years. So we are debating on, we're getting a cost on what that would take to take that out, because it doesn't really go anywhere, and then go somewhere else. But there's a cost to that, and I don't know what that's gonna cost, and I don't know that I'm gonna do it. It depends. The other thing is, even if you wanna paint crosswalks, you gotta get state's permission, so there's a process to go through that. We are currently getting permission to get the land that goes from Pequannock Road up Rainville up to Lytton, so that we can install sidewalks there. And that we have a plan and a cost. Once we get access to that, then we're gonna move forward with that, and that will probably be in next year's budget to the town council. Also, going back to Brantford, Ledge Light Health District is involved, and the building inspector is involved. So the way that we are going to get our arms around this is, if there are deficiencies out there, they gotta get to the Ledge Light and gotta get to us. I've talked to Zach Simmons with Related. They are going to inspect all units. There's 298 units left to inspect, and they are gonna fully inspect them. But I don't know when, their goal is to get through them by the end of this year. But still, that's gonna take some time. On the safety, continuing on the safety thing, we've had bi-weekly meetings with Electric Boat for the last 3 years to discuss safety issues in the city, and particularly with Electric Boat employees and with coming to work and leaving work. And there's been a lot of things that we've done. We've increased lightage, we've increased signage, we've put new crosswalks in, we put sidewalks in, we've put stop signs in, and we're still continuing that endeavor. Let's see. On the Bumgarner reappointment, he has served his time. And when I originally appointed him, he was a Republican. That's why I put him there. And he was not on the town council. He is now on the town council, and that presents a conflict of interest. He has spoken out on issues at the town council against things here that he was going to see that were going to come before him. And he did not recuse himself. He still had full deliberation and debate, and still voted on those issues. One that is about to come in front of them in the next, in the near future, is the Colonel Ledyard School for apartments, and he has been adamantly against the construction there, and so, and the fact that he will not recuse himself does not bode well. In addition to that, during COVID, there were multiple occasions where he attended Zoom meetings for planning and zoning, and at the same time attended Zoom meetings for town council, mayor and council, and Personnel and Appointments Committee, and did not identify that he was doing so, spoke at both, and was, so in my mind, in that issue there, if he's at both of those, there's a conflict there. I recognize what you're pointing at, thank you, but this is a different issue. So therefore, he did do his time. I thank him for his time and his service. If he wants to continue to be on a board or commission in the city of Groton, there are several, let me be specific. There's a spot on the Beach and Parks, there's one on the Conservation Commission, there's one on Eastern Point Historic District, Harbor Management Commission, and the Youth Advisory Committee. All need appointments and vacancies, and have vacancies. And those, the town does not have any oversight or any purview, and therefore there is no conflict of interest. None of us, as counselors, mayor, or as town councilors, get 2 bites at the apple. Nobody gets that. And so with him being on planning and zoning and also on the town council, he gets two bites of the apple. So he did serve his time, and his time is up, and so I did not choose to reappoint him. That is my prerogative as the mayor. And so that is the answer. People may or may not be happy about that answer, but that is where we are. So we're going to move on for response to citizens' petitions to approval of the minutes. Are there any, correction, I'll take a motion to approve the mayor and council minutes of July 5th, 2022.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Are there any corrections to the minutes? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Take a motion to approve the committee of the whole meeting minutes for July 25th, 2022.
So move.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Are there any corrections to these minutes? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Communications and reports. Councilor McCabe.
No report, sir.
Councilor Sheffield.
Just wanted to make a comment. I guess I saw some paving done at the basketball court at Washington Park. Is there going to be additional work being done on the courts? I saw a brand new paving
Yeah.
down there.
So the basketball courts down at Washington Park get a lot of use. And one of the things that I've talked to the Parks and Rec director is about having a maintenance program for that. Because we had cracks there, we had grass growing. I was concerned about people twisting ankles and those kind of things. I talked to people in the fall and made a commitment to get that fixed. It didn't happen this spring. I elevated that and got the cracks patched, and then they called it they sealed it. And I don't know if that's a sealer or not, but you're right. It's all black at this point. In the next month, I intend to have that lined, and what that does, it gets it in playable shape for the immediate future. And then if the city council decides that they want to spend ARPA funds on resurfacing and fixing the basketball course 100% correctly, then we can do that. So does that answer your?
Yeah, so that'll be out of city fund, out of our budget as far as what's being done. That's out of the regular.
Well, it's out of the maintenance part of the budget
Okay.
and Director Hill's budget.
Oh, okay.
So,
And that's all.
okay, thank you. Councilor Piazza?
Just went to the concert in the park and speaking with the people in Brantford.
Councilor Carter? Councilor Norris?
Nothing, Your Honor.
Okay. Deputy Mayor Depot?
Thank you, Mayor. I only have one thing. On Saturday night, I went to the Community Speaks Out Gala. And I just wanted to, in case people don't know, Community Speaks Out helps people get out of addiction. So if you know someone who is, in addiction and needs help, or if you need help, they do great work over there. Tammy Delacruz does a lot of intakes, and I've been with her when she's had to take a phone call and go help someone, and you know, she spends a lot of time doing that, and they have made a big difference in the community. So I just want to encourage people to be aware if you're looking for somewhere to volunteer or somewhere to donate time or money. Their charity does a lot of work in the community, and just want to recognize them. Tammy and Joe Dela Cruz do work really hard on that. And it was I've never been, it was at the Pequot Museum, which is a cool venue. I've never been there for that. I've been in the museum part, but, and they did a great job. And I also actually got to meet, I sat at a table sponsored by GU, and I got to sit with some GU employees, and we had a nice chat. It was fun.
So continuing with the Community Speaks Out, the town of Groton just recently got money from the opioid settlement. The city wasn't one of the ones in the 169 that got that. So I had talked to John about the use of that, and the Community Speaks Out is getting a sum from the council. They authorized that last week. Couple things for council. I still need your top 5, bottom 5, so that we can get ready for the next ARPA meeting that we're gonna have. So please send that to me and to Clerk Jacome. And on last week, we put out the RFP for the Mother Bailey House. So the Mother Bailey House, we sent out an RFP for a sealed bid. The bid is, the bid process will go until the 12th of September, where we will have a public opening. And basically, the public opening, you read the name and you read the bid, and then it goes in behind closed doors for the vetting of those bids. And then hopefully, we will be able to sell the Mother Bailey House and get it back on the tax rolls. The only restriction and stipulation on it is that the house cannot be torn down. So our preference is to keep it with the historic values of it, but that, you know, that's up to whoever purchases it. But we do have a restriction there that it will not be, that the Mother Bailey House will not be torn down. And that's it. Okay, committee referrals. Are there any committee referrals? Okay, do you want to?
I just ask if we're gonna be doing, if Group 1 and Group 2 intend on meeting next Monday. Well, that's Group 2, I believe. Group 1 met last month. And do you have intentions on meeting again?
I always said no. We were going to skip a month, but
Oh, yes, you're right. I think yes, we're not gonna meet in August. We're gonna meet in September.
All right, so I'll cancel for Group 1, and Group 2 will meet.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. All right, new business, Counselor McCabe.
Resolution R-22-7-89. Therefore, be it resolved that the mayor and council approve the appointment of Colin Jenkins, 33 Burgess Place, Groton, Connecticut, as a regular member, Planning and Zoning Commission, term to expire on June 30th, 2025. I so move.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there, and this was discussed during the committee of the whole, was there any additional discussion on this motion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Motion carries. Deputy Mayor Depot.
Thank you, Mayor. Resolution R-22-07-90. Therefore, be it resolved that the mayor and council approve the reappointment of Marie Carminati, 36 Adams Heights, Groton, Connecticut, as a regular member, Planning and Zoning Commission, term to expire on June 30th, 2025. I so move.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. This was discussed during the committee of the whole. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Motion carries. Counselor Sheffield.
Resolution R-22-07-91, therefore be it resolved that the mayor and council approve the appointment of Jason Rusk, 85 Baker Avenue, Groton, Connecticut, as an alternate member, Planning and Zoning Commission, term to expire on June 30th, 2025. I so move.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. This was discussed during the committee of the whole. Is there any additional discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Opposed?
Abstention.
Okay, one abstention, Counselor Piazza. And that motion carries. Counselor Piazza.
Thank you, Mayor. Resolution 22-07-92. Therefore, be it resolved that the mayor and council waive the bid process and provisionally authorize and approve the City of Groton Public Works Department to enter into a contract with Trimble Incorporated, P.O. Box 203558, Dallas, Texas, for Phase 2, and implementation of the city's stormwater infrastructure inventory for a cost not to exceed $61,830.00, to be paid from approval fiscal year 2023 highway operating funds. I so move.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. This was discussed during the committee of the whole. Is there any additional discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, motion carries. Counselor Carter.
R-22-07-93. Therefore, be resolved that the mayor and council authorize and approve the contract with Charles Pasterak
Pasturak. I know, right?
P. Jr. Incorporated, 20 North Burnham Highway, Lisbon, Connecticut, for bituminous
Yeah, this is the word
concrete.
of
I get the nice one today.
the day. When
But-
Counselor Rusk was here, that was the one that always messed her up, was bituminous, so.
Bituminous concrete pavement and milling required of Brandegee Avenue for the quoted price of $261,895.00, and the additional contingency for the total expenditure not to exceed $288,084.50, to be paid from the approved fiscal year highway operating funds. I so move.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. This was discussed during the committee of the whole. Yeah, I don't know why we don't just say asphalt, but there's the bituminous part and then there's the concrete part. So we discussed this during the committee of the whole. Is there any further discussion? Counselor Piazza.
Thank you, Mayor. I was just looking at the contingency. We usually have in here what the percentage contingency is. It just says additional.
This is a
And
10
looking at it real quick, it's about 10%.
It's a 10% contingency.
Just asking. Thank you so much.
When Bill Robarge and I talked about this, we decided to go with a 10% contingency, even though there are market fluctuations due to oil prices. I told him, just go ahead and hedge your bets. Once this gets approved by council tonight, if we go out and give it to them and then they say, nope, it's going up again, then I'll come back. We'll rescind this motion and come back with a new motion,
Right, which was said the previous.
which is what we discussed. Yes, ma'am. Okay? Anything else? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Abstentions. Okay, Counselor Norris, you have R-22-07-94.
Your Honor, therefore be resolved that the mayor and the council rescind previous approved resolution R-21-138 and authorize to approve a new contract with Charles Pasterak Jr. Incorporated, 20 North Burnham Highway, Lisbon, Connecticut, for bituminous concrete pavement and milling as required of Mitchell Street for the quoted price of $365,532.00, and an additional contingency for a total expenditure not to exceed $402,083.00, to be paid from approved fiscal year 22 highway operating funds. I so move.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. This was discussed at the committee of the whole. That contingency is also 10%. Counselor Piazza.
What's her name again? Bituminous. I
Exactly.
wasn't sure if Councilor Norris said 365,532, I believe he said, although it is printed 530. He read it as 532. But I just want for the record to say that it is printed 530,000, or is it
530.
532, and his happens maybe to say 532?
No, it's 530,000.
Okay, I just wanted
It's
to make sure.
$365,530.00.
Okay, thank you.
So that is the correct amount.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, motion carries. And lastly, Counselor McCabe.
Resolution R-22-07-95. Therefore, be it resolved that the mayor and council approve a purchase with Turf Products LLC, 157 Moody Road, Enfield, Connecticut, for a Ventrac tractor KN 4520Z Kubota for a total cost of $26,983.33 to be paid from the capital reserve funds. I so move.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. This was discussed at the committee of the whole. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, motion carries. I will take a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, motion carries. Thank you, council, for coming out. Thank you, Mr. Rusk, for coming out.